Hello everyone, I'm Broffy1322 and welcome to episode 26 of the Chalky Hazard podcast with my usual co-hosts, rather sick and ill and not feeling very well, sugar-free Nos.
Yeah, I'm not doing okay. It's not okay.
and right down there we've got our DT33.
What's up?
So
Come at me.
Come at me, really?
Oh, yeah. I don't know, man.
So
I don't know what we're doing.
This is a podcast where we want to get your opinions. All right, so whether you're in the chat, watching live, whether you're watching this as a video and you leave a comment on the video on YouTube, whether you're listening to it and allowing Nos to fulfill his dream of being a radio talk show host in the 80s.
If you want to leave a comment on the video, just be sure to not do it while you're driving. The Choking Hazard podcast is not liable for any traffic incidents. Your feedback, thank you.
So
what a scumbag.
yeah, if wherever you are, however you can, I forgot to turn off the sounds. I'm so bad of the notifications. I knew there was something I'd forgotten to do. And you,
As usual.
so if however you can get hold of us, Twitter, anywhere where we can get comments, Discord, YouTube comments, anything like that, and we'll obviously be talking with people in the chat as well as we do this live. Because we want to have a bit of reflection. We want to have a bit of reflection on the podcast as a whole, a little bit of a reflection on last podcast, which was probably one of the more important ones that we've ever done, the biggest one I'd say we've ever done, and how things are going in general. And Nos is also going to complain about Twitch a little bit later on as well.
Yeah, I don't like reflection. It makes me feel self-conscious when I look at it. So.
Oh my god. He looks so sick right now.
I'm not doing well.
He's like on his deathbed right now, like, I don't like thinking about all of the mistakes I've made in my life.
I need to undo everything.
Yeah. Someone said in the
Life
chat,
was a
I feel
mistake.
like this is going to be a shorter podcast, and you're probably not wrong there for
Yeah.
specifically Nos reasons, at least, so you
Well,
can.
I can look. I still have the endurance. Okay.
Oh yeah, we'll see how you feel at the end of this.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
So yeah, we'll I mean, let's talk about just the podcast in general. How do you guys, you two who I'm talking to, my co-hosts, but also everybody in the chat and everybody in the comments, how do you feel about the podcast? What what are you liking? What are you not liking? We've had the last three podcasts have been with guests, so we haven't had a podcast with just us three talking like this for well over 2 months or so now. What do you guys like? Do you like the guests? Do you like the guests every week? Do you like a mix? Do you like nothing? Do you hate everything that we're doing? And
Yeah,
you two
I agree
specifically
with that
as well.
one.
You hate everything that we're doing.
I hate everything that we're doing.
I think we've jumped the shark and we need to end it. I mean,
Okay.
we've already
Yeah.
had your boss on. I mean, that's as low as we can go.
Okay,
I
is
mean-
that it?
Judging by the comment section. So we might as
So,
Judging by the comments, yeah. Is that it? Is this it? We're done?
I unsubscribed because I don't want to support Mr. Boss.
instantly disliked. Saw
Instant
Mr. Boston's
dislike.
instant dislike.
You talk to a man. I
You
don't
talk
like
to
it.
another
I
human
don't like your
being.
video.
Yeah. There was some interesting comments in the last one on the YouTube, on the old YouTube machine.
Yeah, but let's talk. Let's go back to the original topic and actually give a serious answer.
Okay.
I like
the
the
show.
really serious answer that we had in the chat of I like the weeks in between podcasts.
Yo, Nas is not having anything today. He's just going right for the jugular. Oh my god.
Look, I like podcasts. I'm having fun. I like the guests. The guests make it fun. When it's just us three, at some point I'm sure we'll hate on GTA today. So we'll just regress into that. When we have
But we've got nothing to
guest.
talk about with GTA, so I can't see that happening.
but somehow we will get there.
In one way or another.
We'll see.
Yeah.
Yo, I wish we
Did you
had.
know 5M updated to Doomsday? Oh, well, I didn't really like the Doomsday heist that much. It was just bad content. I agree. That content wasn't very good. See, we'll get to it eventually.
It'll just digress into Nos talking to himself and arguing with himself about
Yeah,
it.
I'm going to lose my mind.
I wish we had sick Nos for the Mr. Boss podcast because he would have went like, it's like, hey, thanks for having me on. He's like, why do you clickbait? Tell me why.
The first thing immediately.
Just all right.
Nos has lost it. Nos has lost it completely. He's gone. Interesting comment. Clueless Muffin been listening exclusively on Spotify. This is my first Twitch encounter. I think Nos should do more shoutcasts on the Choke of the Week for the listeners, but that's just me.
Okay.
Yeah, that's true. You know, it's something that we do have to think about, that we do have a growing listener base. All of you out there who listen to us on our various different platforms now, Spotify, iTunes, just regular RSS feed, so you can put it into whatever you use. Yeah, I think like we started off with this podcast as kind of just us chatting about stuff. And it did.
Well, us complaining about GTA. That's what we started.
I mean, but then often there's comments on YouTube saying, talk more about GTA, talk more about, get people from the GTA community in. You know, we it feels like we kind of need to find a path for ourselves because we're so mixed in with, we can bring in guests from completely, left field and nowhere. We can have guests every week and completely change everything, but then we lose that ability to talk between ourselves about various topics that are within our community. Like, how do we, what do people want? That's why we're doing this. What do you guys want? What do you guys want? Speaking to you two.
Money, women,
money, power, respect.
The money that this podcast has made has paid for the audio version, so that's how we are now.
I mean, last episode was not demonetized. Like
it
Mr.
wasn't.
Boss said.
I can't believe it.
I told you during the episode when he gave us the blessing.
He was like,
he blessed.
It's like the only podcast episode that hasn't been demonetized.
He gave us the boss F prey. That's what he did.
Yeah.
How much money did that make? Did that get me a 6-pack or two, or is that 15,000? It's probably like 20 cents plus ad block.
I mean, it's not much.
Damn.
I want some non-gaming related stuff, but then do we lose our identity completely if we just start talking about anything?
No. I mean, the people watching the show just watch because they like the show. I mean, like, we can tell that by the comments and the viewer numbers, really. So,
I find it interesting how like the viewer numbers for each episode are so vastly different. Like, we have some that are over 10,000, 15,000, like the last one with Mr. Boss, obviously. But then we have some that are like 2,000, 3,000. It's so, you never know how successful a video is going to be.
I'm upset that no one watched the Josh episode. Okay, that was
an
excellent episode.
That was a great episode.
That's really informative.
Fantastic, man.
I really enjoyed that one.
Man.
Also, I mean, you got to think about it. What number episode is this? Which episode?
26.
26.
We're only 26. It's almost been a year. That's how infrequently we do these. Yeah. But it's almost been a year, and then we're 26 episodes in. It's like maybe by 100 if we're still doing it at that point, we'll start to get some consistent viewers. But we're still pretty young. This thing's still a baby.
Well, we lasted longer than the Angry Man podcast, so we got that going for us, which is nice.
Yeah.
Okay,
so
I mean, I guess we are pretty young in that respect.
When am I bringing back Ulysses Northcutt? When did I break him out? It was Memorial Day weekend.
Yeah, I think so.
That's like 12 weeks away. So I'm not saying that Ulysses is coming to visit for Memorial Day weekend. He's not allowed in this house anymore, but who knows? Maybe he'll break in like usual.
Nos, I think Clueless Muffin is probably one of your favorite people now. He was the guy who was listening exclusively on Spotify.
And he liked the Josh.
Joshua's episode.
My favorite viewer. He's got a fantastic name. You're great, and you've actually given me the hope I need to pull through this sickness and live. I no longer want to die. Thank you, Clueless Muffin, for the will to live. I appreciate it.
See, this is something that we've been talking about, like behind the scenes of like the guest ratio. We've had 3 guests in a row for the last few podcasts, and I was like of the opinion that maybe we should just do a podcast with just us, like what we're doing now, where we just shoot the breeze or whatever the phrase is, and talk about things. But do we lose some interesting aspects to the podcast with that? Do you guys want to see guests every single episode, somebody different, and forget about these sort of podcasts where we just chill out and chat? Podcast with just the guests. That's pretty much it. Yeah, just yeah.
Well, I mean, I think it'll be kind of split with Twitch chat because they can interact with us. But for a video, this is going to be like an awful episode. Like, it's going to be the most boring thing ever. Because, the people who are watching the video, they can't ask questions and have me, respond to it. So.
All Southern, all Matthew McConaughey, Southern gentleman, like, That's the thing.
I guess
that's just the fact that I can't breathe through my nose, so.
So you're going to be even higher pitched this episode. You're going to be.
I don't know. I don't know. I don't think I use my nose when I talk anyway, so I just sound exactly the same. So.
Oh man.
The only podcast that I've really listened to or listen to on a regular basis is Hello Internet, where it's just CGP Grey and Brady Haran from Number 5 just talking.
Harambe? Did
No.
you say Harambe?
No, I didn't. I did not say that at all.
No. That's what it sounded like.
But they're smart. They're interesting. We're not smart. Well, you're
That
smart,
is
bro.
true. They do have interesting things to talk about, and we generally don't. That's a fair point. Unless we have guests.
Yeah, if
I
we
listened
start
to a
talking
couple
about math,
podcasts.
that's gonna be a one-way street for Bruff. He's going down that one alone.
But
Yeah,
someone said
okay. We're not talking about
yeah, should we
that.
talk about some quadratic equations and all this kind of stuff?
I'd rather not.
Clueless Muffin, dead meme. Yeah, he literally is a dead meme.
And
Justice for Harambe.
Oh my god.
I can't believe you on that.
This is, I don't know if you guys have ever seen the movie Mighty Joe Young.
No, I don't think
I
I've
have
never even
not.
heard of it.
Charlize Theron. It was one of my favorite kids movies as a child. I was going to say it was one of my favorite kids, and then I caught myself. But yeah, this is Mighty Joe Young. And one of my dogs ate his nose at one point. Great movie.
There is
Probably
our
deserved
guest. There he is.
RDT, I remember Major.
Yeah, of course. It's fantastic. It's a great movie.
Voice of God.
Why do things have to change? Podcast has been fine. I like the guests or not, doesn't matter.
Well, that's what we're here to find out.
Yeah.
I mean, it might not change.
If people are happy with, having guests and then every so often doing a non-guest episode, then we'll keep it like that. But
Yeah.
this is what we're doing, we want some opinions. And that goes to you who aren't here and answering us right now as we're watching this, we're doing this live, Tell us in the comments on YouTube. Tell us what you want to see. I mean,
I don't know. This podcast started just as a side thing while you were doing like a criminal mastermind or you're just trying to make money. And then we all just joined in and started.
Yeah.
That's where this came from. And people liked it and decided to check in for the first episode because they were like, well, let's see how this is when it's actually a formal setting.
Yeah.
So they liked the banter. They liked the back and forth and the nonsense that we talk about. Having a guest is nice, and we get to learn more about that person. And I've learned a lot about how I feel about Mr. Boss, about speedrunning, about Sonny Evans. He's a great guy. He's a great guy too.
Good content creator, yeah.
We have had some very interesting guests. I've enjoyed equally the episodes that we've had with guests and without. I think I the roots of this has come from when we just didn't. It was just us 3 chatting nonsense in a live stream when I was playing Criminal Mastermind, and that's where it's come from. and that's how we started it. And then we just happened to start bringing in some guests, and then we've gone more towards the guest side of things for this year. And maybe because when you have a guest, you do kind of lose the ability to have that sort of back and forth banter talking about things that are relevant to us, because it's mainly about the guest, and you don't want to exclude the guest from something if we start talking about something that's specific or only we know about. So it's just finding that balance, I guess, And I guess I don't know.
So
So there we go. That's our little bit of a reflection. Let us know in the comments.
Yeah.
Specifically on YouTube, I think YouTube comments will be helpful because we can just go back and read them. Podcast needs more Apple Juice minutes. Do you want just a complete collection of Apple Juice minute? Just the podcast be completely that.
Certainly be less work for me.
I think Nas said that. Nas, you were the one that said that, right?
Yeah,
About
I think it was Nas who said that.
Yeah. I'd love to take credit.
Yeah.
I think we all agreed.
I guess these type of podcasts where we're just, talking about nothing are more enjoyable for people who are within our community specifically and just come to the streams and watch for us, but then there isn't much beyond that. The guests make it for everybody else. And the topic that we're talking about specifically, I think our two most viewed podcasts now, one of them, they're both about the same in views, I think. One of them was with a guest and one wasn't. The one with a guest was obviously last podcast with Mr. Boss, and then the one that wasn't was when we were talking about Doomsday stuff, I think, or not, maybe not Doomsday, but some DLC we were talking about.
We were probably whining about Smuggler's Run,
something like that.
Planes are terrible, overpriced.
Was that? I think it was the Rockstar's greed has ruined GTA.
Yeah, that was it. Yeah. So it's more the subject matter, I think, than it is whether it's having a guest or not having a guest. It's more about what we're talking about. Is if people are interested in it, they'll watch it. If not, they won't. Although some people will watch everything or listen to everything. And you guys are the ones who are probably here now, listening to this, because everybody else would have clicked off by now.
Yeah, you fools will listen to anything. We got you all tricked.
Rants equals views. Yeah, that's it. That's the key. One of my most liked video on YouTube ever now, from all my years of doing YouTube, my most liked video is just one big rant, 1 6-minute rant. It's like all the testing work that I've put in, none of those videos have ever gotten to the amount of likes that rant video did. So that's clearly the formula. That's the way forward.
Yeah. Well, people just want to see other people whining and complaining. That's it.
Yeah.
You just whine and complain about something that is universally agreed upon by most people, and you're good. That's why, like, Mr. Boss for the win. Is it a blah 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 blah? That would get 40,000 views guaranteed, because everyone likes to pile on the man. And that's why people were upset with our last episode, because we didn't pile on him and tell him how bad he was. And
I think let's talk about the last episode, because there were plenty of talking points. There were plenty of criticisms against us. There was plenty of people who unsubscribed from my channel just for the very fact of having Mr. Boss for the win.
Oh my goodness!
On the channel,
my high level of morals. You can't even support this man. Like, how are you supporting his content? You're giving him exposure. Like, it's his big break. Like this,
really.
It's his big break. He's been down so low, and we're gonna bring him up into riches. No.
Superstardom.
He has like 15 times the amount of subscribers I do. I'm sure he is going to survive without it.
How can you support him? Oh my goodness, he misleads people on the internet. For God's sake.
But I like the people who said, how can you support him? I'm not supporting him. I'm going to unsubscribe and I'm not even going to watch it. It's like, not even taking into account the fact that we were asking him specific things about his content and giving him, asking some difficult questions because we were interested. No, not even cared about that. Just the fact that you had his name in the title of a video, you're giving him exposure. Gone, unsubscribed. I did see a peak in unsubscriptions, actually. I looked on the analytics and people actually did unsubscribe. Not it wasn't major, honestly. But
Bruffy supporter, but having this man on the podcast is the lowest of the low, and this is the point where I draw the line. I am unsubscribing, Bruff. Between this and your live stream highlights that are so boring, I don't want to even be here anymore.
Sassy, sick Nos.
Nos is savage when he's ill. He's got no tolerance for it.
Sassy Nos needs to be one of your emotes when you get partnered.
Those people won't be missed, Bim and said. I mean, those people will be back as soon as there's another testing video, I'm sure, or another DLC.
Yeah.
It's very,
exactly.
that's how it is. But I thought, I enjoyed the discussion. It was so difficult. When we have guests, it can go one of two ways, where it feels like an interview, or it feels like just us talking and there's somebody else there talking as well. And this one very much felt more interviewee, and I was trying my best to interview in such a way that I would get something out of him in terms of truthful, real answers to the questions that we wanted. What?
Nope.
I think it's
much.
No.
Probably the most planning we've put into one of the podcasts. So
Yeah.
We structured it very deliberately.
Yeah.
So.
But it was just so difficult. He had just a screen up, and it felt like we weren't really gonna. It didn't feel like we were even speaking to the real Ross. I guess we weren't able to get the real meat out of it. But I guess we never expected that we would. What's he gonna say?
Well, and I mean, people that wanted that to happen completely miss the point of that episode. The point of that episode was not for us to sit here and call him a shitty person. Demonetized. The point of the episode was to ask him these questions, let him give whatever answer he likes, and then the viewer makes the assessment as to whether that is a truthful and genuine answer or it is not. That is up to the viewer. That's not
exactly
up to
right.
us. Okay.
Yeah. We weren't interrogating him.
No.
We were having a conversation with him.
No, I'm not going to sit here and berate him and make him tell me, "Oh, I just do it for the money." I mean,
that face.
It just, I don't know. I mean, and he gave pretty good answers, to be fair. The one answer that was just complete and utter nonsense, which I love, was when I Got Big Balls Mikey came in and asked about the thumbnails, and the only thing he could come up with is, "I find the thumbnails interesting." Like, that's the only answer he gave that was truly lacking. Like, that was just complete, like, no, you know what you're doing. Okay.
That was weak.
Yeah.
That was weak.
That was some weak sauce. I mean, given it was an 2-hour podcast and you only had one weak answer to some tough questions, he did a good job. He did a good job for what he wanted to do and what he wanted to represent. And like I said, it's up to the viewer to determine whether he is a genuine man or not.
Yeah, that question was. I think that question caught all of us off guard because we weren't expecting.
Oh my God.
We thought it was all over, the tough questioning and stuff like that. I genuinely forgot about the thumbnail thing.
I knew that
down.
it was coming because Mikey had put it in the text chat beforehand. I was like, "Well, we've got a call in later if you want to ask that question."
Yeah.
And you know what? I let it through because it's a valid question. It is a valid question, regardless of how harsh it is or not. If you're going to put yourself out there, then you should answer those types of questions.
Yeah. We were just like winding down and coming to the end, and I was getting ready to like be like, "Good job, everybody!" Pat on the back, and then all of a sudden, Mikey's just like, "Hey, why you clickbait?" I was like, no, why?
And then like Mikey was, I mean, love you, Mikey, but your question structure wasn't that great. Like, if you're gonna come in, you're gonna go all Diane Sawyer on a man. You gotta have some. You gotta have some. You gotta have some evidence. You gotta have some info. You can't just come in and say, "You clickbait." Why? So
it's funny in the pre-selection phase of the call-in, he just said it straight outright. No issues, no stuttering, just boom, straight away, no issues at all. But had a few issues once he went by.
I think it was when Mr. Boss was obviously going to say, but what do you mean exactly? What example? And that's when Nos had to go searching for. I know what he means, and he saved the day.
Yeah, because I knew, Bruff, you weren't going to do it, and RDT wasn't going to do it.
I was trying. I was like, because I had mentioned to him one of the thumbnails that Mr. Boss used was like a guy at an ATM with a bunch of money coming down, and that's obviously not going to happen in the game. But then you were like, no, I think he means more like cars that are modded into the game that aren't there yet. So.
That is the thumbnail that I pointed out for that video is a misleading thumbnail. It leads the viewer to believe that there is a new DLC coming, and this car that is pictured on this thumbnail is going to be featured in this new DLC. That is the point of the thumbnail. That is the point of the video. That is the sole reason that he is profitable and successful on YouTube is due to mostly misleading content like that. When you have the knowledge that I do from 15 minutes in the VanillaWorks Discord where people post GTA mods all the time. You know what vehicle that is. You know who made it. You know that they took the screenshot and it's on the GTA 5 mods page. And you use that because, it was speculated by whatever interesting topic you found that Dominator Classic or something like that was going to be in it. So you rip content that looks vaguely like that and is somewhat relevant. And then you mislead people into believing that is what's going to happen, and that's that was the point where I started to lose it a little bit. Like my I did a moment when I just looked at the camera and was like, really, just, like because it was just at that point it was getting to the end and we'd had all these stock answers that didn't really say much, but they said enough. But they're well put together too.
And a lot of what he didn't say said more than if he had just come right out and said like, oh yeah, I know it's a cool image that's going to get people to click on the video, rather than him not saying that was more telling than him just coming out and saying it, because now we know.
Because that would have been a perfectly acceptable answer. That's the purpose of a thumbnail at all. Is I use that picture to get people to click on the video.
But that's why I said that was what my whole really that there isn't a little bit of you. I tried to get him to say something like that. There isn't a little bit of you that just is doing that to get people.
You just think it's cool.
Yeah, like really, but it just wasn't happening. And you can only go so far. We're not going to start berating the guy. We're not going to come into a podcast and start calling him nonsense and all this kind of stuff. And that's just how it is. So we can only serve as whatever the word is, an intermediary. Ask him the questions that people want to ask him. He answers the way that he wants to answer, and then everybody makes their own decision based on those answers as to what you think. It's not us to tell you how you think. It's not us to
exactly. There you go. There you go. That's what needs to be put in the words.
Yeah,
it's not our job to tell you how to think.
Yeah, he agreed to come on. It's not like, we caught him off guard and we're like, Mr. Boss.
Yeah, what do you have to say about clickbaiting?
He decided to come on and have a discussion with us. So whatever he decided to say, whether we knew the answer or not, we would like to hear it from the horse's mouth, as they say.
Yeah, exactly.
And so, I thought it was nice. I thought it was a fun episode.
I enjoyed it, actually. Regardless of any of our personal thoughts regarding his content or the answers that he gave, I think it was just a really interesting podcast to be able to talk to someone who's so high up in terms of YouTube subscriber numbers and success, and just to be able to talk to someone like that and get some insight into the way they think and form opinions by asking him himself rather than forming opinions based on his content or what other people are saying about him was a lot of fun. I enjoyed it, and thank you guys in the chat for all being civil. I know we had it on sub only mode for obvious reasons because we didn't.
Yeah,
just
it was
want people
reasonably
coming
civil.
but...
I mean, there was still some Mr. Toss for the loss. That's a funny joke. You haven't heard that one before. Yeah, there was still some garbage like that, but we
Boss
made it
the
through.
boss.
Yeah.
Very impressed with you guys.
Or I'm going to use the C word because I'm edgy. You know.
Yeah.
And thank you, of course, to the moderators.
Yeah.
Of course, yeah, very much so. Obviously, was there much moderating to do?
Probably not.
I think there was a little bit from what I saw. There was a little bit of moderating.
I wasn't looking at the chat too much. It was more in between when like answers were being given or something. But I thought people were generally pretty good, in the chat.
Mm-hmm.
And good on you guys. We have a good community here. I think we've got a mature audience, and that showed. That showed last week, I think. So.
Well, that's what I was saying before the podcast that the chat obviously didn't hear. We're inviting a guy onto the podcast that's main demographic is mainly 12-year-olds, and I hope our audience proves themselves more mature than that demographic.
Yeah. I mean, that was an interesting question where we asked about his demographics, and he did say it was between the 13 to 17 range or something was his most, that's where most of his audience was. And just so different to what my audience is in terms of demographics on my analytics, where I think it's 25 to 30 something. Or
your audience is just smart enough to lie, I think.
Yeah. If they're either older or younger and smart enough to make a account saying they're older. Yeah. So yeah, I enjoyed it, and regardless of, I think the negative comments we got over last episode was going to happen regardless. Those people were going to not be happy with the fact that we just had Mr. Boss on a podcast, regardless of the questions that we asked.
I'm of such high moral standard. I won't even utter his name.
Oh man,
I don't like human beings.
Why are you even giving this man attention? What?
No, you
well,
cut out there.
Say,
that's what I was just going to say. Never mind. You're back.
What now?
You're back.
Yeah, you cut out.
Oh. Okay, we're good?
Yeah.
I'm fine? Okay, anyway. Question was asked what we think of him as a person. Do we want to close this topic out with what do we think of Ross as a person now? I mean, so now that we've let people form their opinions, we give ours. Does that sound like
well, you guys go.
I said it in the podcast to him.
I did too.
I didn't,
but
all right.
He made me not a fan of his, but he definitely changed my perception, whatever perception I had of him from his videos. He definitely separated himself from his art, from his product. So he's a guy who's kind of cool and decent, but
he's a semi-decent man who has made some questionable decisions and is making the content that is successful for him. Whether that content is good or is bad, that is or misleading, that is for you to decide as a content consumer. But I don't think he's a complete scumbag. He's not hurting anybody to be,
well. We didn't get to talk about some stuff, and I don't think we are.
With his content, he is not actively hurting anyone, so it really doesn't matter. Yeah. So, I think he's an okay guy.
My answer to that,
I liked him. So.
I never actually gave my answer last week, and I've kind of only just realised why, and that's because my answer would be I don't have an opinion, because I feel like I still don't know him as a person. We've spoken to him, but
I can understand that.
I don't feel like I've spoken to Ross. I don't feel like it's not like I've met up with him somewhere and had a beer with him or something like that and actually spoken to him.
I wish.
I've spoken to I've spoken to his front, which he puts on a good front, and I think he answers questions well, and he definitely absolutely treats YouTube more as a business than an art form or wanting to create.
I think it's entirely as a business.
Yeah.
I don't think there's any creativity happening.
But I don't think he's a bad person. He's just treating YouTube in a different way to what we would want YouTube to be treated, but there's a lot of people who only come on YouTube for information or content, or they're not interested in watching a video for entertainment. They just want it for information, and that's why he's so successful, because that's all he does. And there's a lot of people out there who use YouTube in that way, and it doesn't make it right or wrong, even if you don't like it. But yeah, he's not bad. He's not a bad guy. I just don't really feel qualified to say anything about him, honestly.
It's a fair assessment.
All right, so Nos.
Yes.
Do you want to do some ranting?
Yes.
Go on then, because you've been having some issues, right?
It has been Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, 13 business days. I'm very proud of myself. I can count 13.
Without taking your shoes off.
Yes. Since I sent in the partnership application, I've not heard anything back yet. And that means that I can't really do the off-schedule streams I want to do, or really anything that's off-schedule, because it'll mess up my numbers. Because I have to look at it with numbers now, and I don't want to look at things that are numbers. I don't like numbers. But, yeah, I hope I get a response soon. Here, I'll check my email, because why not?
I mean, that's the sort of thing that could happen on our podcast, is that you get an email.
Ruffy is live. That's it. That's all. That's it.
Okay. Well, it's nice to know that you get emails when I'm live, you know what I mean?
Yeah, you're the only streamer I actually do get emails for. Anyway.
Yeah, so you did this partnership push all of February.
Month of February, and I almost died. Literally almost died.
Because it was only ever GTA, and you wanted to mix it up.
Yeah, this is actually just...
This is the result.
Yeah, this is the result, yeah.
I got GTA Online-itis over the course of February, and it's been dormant in my system until now. And now it has finally come to life inside of me, and I died. But February was awful.
You did well with numbers, though, right? I mean, it was successful.
I did great with numbers. I did amazing with numbers, but I lost the will to live. I sold my soul, and I never want to boot up GTA Online ever again. I barely want to even play 5M again. That's how bad it is.
Wow.
It was awful. It was awful. I hate the game. See? I told you we'd get back to it. But I hate the game.
Oh, wow.
I hate playing it. I hate that I was forced in a way, because, we talked about this in the past with how I feel that when I have 70 subscribers, and which I'm on like 50 now because I've missed some streams and people don't resub and blah, blah, blah. But when I have these subscribers and I have this level of viewership in some streams, 50, 60, 70, 80 to 100 people, and those viewers only get one emote and are not guaranteed quality options. We had many streams where an hour and a half in, we would have 100, 110, 120 viewers, and I don't have the quality options. I can't. The stream is buffering. I've got that many viewers, and people can't change the level of quality. I don't think that's right. So in order to get these features for my viewers, which I care about my viewers, I want to give them the best content that I can and the best experience that I can. I'm forced into this position where I have to get a little Mr. Boss on it. I got to just look at the numbers. I've got to completely devoid myself of any hope or dreams and play this game, which I hate, only for numbers, because that's what people enjoy, and then lose everything that makes me in the process. And it was awful. I hated it.
Wow. So now you put in a partnership application after this successful month for numbers. You reached the goals that you needed.
My average viewership was 81 after the month, and we only had 2 streams out of 12. I streamed 12 times in the month of February, plus 2 in the first week of March to just keep it going. And we only had 2 streams. The first one, which was a Thursday, and the next Thursday, where I was under 75 viewers, which was amazing. was absolutely amazing. We had great numbers and amazing support. It's just frustrating that I haven't gotten a response yet, so I can resume normal operating.
Yeah, so now you're having to continue into March to keep this up. So because you haven't had a response yet after this partnership application, so you don't dare go back to your original content and start having less viewer numbers in case they decide that that's not good enough anymore.
Yeah.
Okay,
I went for a happy medium. I talked about it during the episode with Josh, actually. My false 69% minus playthrough of GTA San Andreas.
Yeah, I saw you talking about that.
That was going to be the celebration for a successful month. So I've done 2 streams. I did Monday and Tuesday, and Thursday, like yesterday, I wanted to die, so we didn't stream yesterday.
But I can say that, I mean, I've been partnered, Xexi's partnered, I've known quite a few people who have gone through the partnership process and got partnered. Hearing nothing for such a long amount of time is actually a good sign. Usually you hear within a week at most that it's unsuccessful. But if it goes for 2 weeks, like yours has, and even into the 3rd week, then usually, I'm not saying anything because I don't want you to get your hopes up if they just decided to say no.
My hopes are at the ground level, but sub-basement level.
Usually that means that they're sorting it all out in the background, things are happening, things are working through, and it's going to be successful. So
or
oh my god,
so sassy today.
Or I have gotten through the automated system because I have met those achievements. They have an extreme backlog of partnership applications. They're going to look at mine eventually and say, this guy, no, and then I will be sad.
I'm gonna apply.
They have had a busy couple of weeks. They have had to get a major artist on with some blue-haired guy and organize all that shenanigans. So
that was fun.
Keep that in mind. They were busy. It's been busy, and they've had to sort out the sub problem that they had and everything. So they've maybe got a bit of a backlog.
Who knows? I don't.
Who knows?
Care. I need my email. Pluto, please. I'll give you my case number. Just let me get back to streaming American Truck Simulator in the middle of the night for 10 people. Please.
Poor Nos. Yeah. Well, you could always reduce your quality and more people would be able to watch without buffering. That's an option, right?
No, that is not an option. That goes against every principle I have as a PC gamer.
Yeah,
and that's because the shortcomings of people with bad equipment and bad internet should not affect those with good equipment and internet. No, I'm not decreasing my quality because a select few number of people can't watch my content. No,
you think that people are really going to miss those extra 2,000 kilobits a second?
Else. That's like, we've got to develop this game for Xbox One, so we're going to make it run at 15 frames per second on the PC because that's all we can muster with the Xbox. No.
You know what will probably get you partnered?
What?
Fortnite is crossplay compatible now with Xbox One, so we can play together. I'll push you over the edge. They'll be like, whoa. Imagine if we did a dual stream, and some guy from Twitch was watching. They're like, that RDT guy, he's a partner now. And they were just like, we got an application from this Nos fella. Burn it, RDT. RDT is our
partner.
The one
now. He's the one.
See, what you actually want to do is you want to get Nos and RDT versus Bruffy and Xerxes.
Yeah.
The showdown.
How would that happen?
I need to learn how to play Fortnite first.
I haven't even proposed to Nos yet. So
yeah, you're way behind. Well, good luck, Nos. I mean, no news is better news, but hopefully, by the time the next podcast happens in 3 weeks, hopefully either way.
If I don't know then they have actually burned my application and lost it. So
yeah, I mean, it's pretty Fortnite now, to go on to that point of cross-platform, it's cross-play between every platform except PS4 and Xbox One, right? So PS4 can play with everybody else except Xbox One. Xbox One can play with everybody else except PS4. And then PC, mobile, they can play with everybody.
Yeah, I'm going to play on my Google Pixel. I'm not even bothered with the PC version. I'm just gonna,
but it's so
frustrating
that there's only one link left just between PS4 and Xbox that Microsoft and Sony can't get their heads out of their ass just to be able to say, look, let's do this for the good of everybody.
Nah, it's just Sony.
Okay, yeah, sorry, it is just Sony. Yeah, it is just Sony.
Sony have just been arsehole.
Yeah, Sony. It is Sony. But I mean, it's just so frustrating. You know, that's the future. It doesn't matter what you're playing on. Everybody playing together. That's got to be the way to have. I mean, look at the stream with Ninja, the most successful stream ever with Drake. He was on a PS4. Ninja was on PC. They were playing together, and look at what happened.
I find it ridiculous that Drake is playing on a PS4. Does
God's plan.
Yeah,
Why?
That's God's plan. Subpar frame rates and lower resolutions. That's God's plan. If that's God's plan, okay,
Nos has been so triggered in this entire. This is just. That should be the title of this podcast. Just triggering Nos for everything that we say.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
I think it's time to get your guitar out, RDT.
Yeah. It is good. It is amazing though that that whole thing that 600,000 viewers and God knows how many subscribers he got through that. It was like walls of Twitch Prime subscriptions and stuff. But it's great for the platform in general, for us using it for gaming as a mainstream thing. You know, it's just a great success thing, to be honest. So
yeah,
good on him. Okay.
Yeah.
Regular segments,
and it wasn't just Drake, like Travis Scott.
It's been 40 minutes. We got to keep going, man. We got something else to talk about, don't we?
What?
I don't know. I was
exactly.
We got something else.
I was waiting for you to actually say something that you had to talk about, but we can't just.
I don't like how you guys just how you just automatically shot down playing with me in Fortnite. No, you know, I've been upping my game. I got a win on stream earlier. By the way, I think I'm gonna start doing that some more. Do a pre-podcast Fortnite streams.
Pre-podcast Fortnite streams. Ooh.
Yeah, just to hold people off. I ended early because I forgot that you guys haven't caught up to the Western world as far as daylight saving.
It's so stupid, daylight saving in general. That's something we can talk about. My distaste for the
it really is
concept.
So dumb.
I agree.
Like why?
Yeah.
We just end up going back eventually.
I know it's stupid. It's so. Do
farmers even care anymore?
No,
it's just time. Just get up earlier.
I know.
What the hell?
But yeah, we will be back on normal time next podcast. But yeah, I didn't shoot it down. I guess I didn't say anything. But I want to play Fortnite on a stream. Actually, I want to try it.
I don't know if I want to play it. Like I want to play with you two. I don't really want to play that game. If that makes any sense. Like because bang 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 bang, and then up we go on some ramps. It's nice.
Man, you don't even know. You don't even know what you're talking about, Nos, man. You're out here, you're like, making fun of this. Nah, man.
Meanwhile, you're
don't
over
even
here.
know, man.
This is your turning speed on the Xbox One.
What? Dude, you should have seen my W earlier.
If you got some high sits, you can't even tell where you're looking at.
I was bow bow. Bow, 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 bow. Actually, I lost like 4 games in a row, and then I got a win. It was actually a really good win. And then I got a duo win. And then I ended the stream early, and then I came back and sucked. So it was like pew 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 pew, Victor Royale, bingo. And you can experience that too, Nos, if you play with me, duos.
Are you gonna carry me to the win?
Hell yeah, I'll carry the hell out of you, dog.
All right, thanks. I will actually hop on your back in the game.
Okay.
And just do nothing.
I wish you could.
Are we? So if you don't want to play Fortnite, Nos, do you want us to all get together and play some GTA instead?
How?
I just wanted to see Nos's face with that suggestion.
I think he's about to cry.
Yeah, it looks like it.
Yeah, I don't want to even talk about that game anymore. Okay.
Yeah, I'm up for. I want to play some Fortnite with Tony at some point.
Is he on PC? Is he?
He'll be on PC. just to because it's been a long time since I played a game with him, and I kind of want to try out Fortnite, and maybe we can get some squads or whatever it's called.
That's exactly what it's called. Yeah, see, you already know. You're already halfway there.
Yeah. Already know the terminology already.
Yep, squads.
I like that it's third person as well. That's right in my wheelhouse.
Yeah. And it's made by Epic, and you love Gears of War, so
just pop right in from the Gears of War days. Maybe I'll get back to the love that I had for Gears of War 3 in Fortnite, and I'll just become a Fortnite streamer. Screw GTA and testing and all that.
Yeah, just let's hop on the Fortnite bandwagon. It's not too late, is it? It's not oversaturated yet, is it?
Like we'll just be playing Fortnite like everybody else.
Damn.
You'll have 400 viewers and be at the bottom of the list because of what that game is.
There's no joy for Nos right now. He's just cynical about everything right now.
Yeah. There's no light at the end of the tunnel. There's nothing. Nothing is good. Everything is terrible.
I'm in a basement and someone locked the door behind me and there's no way out.
Bruffy's like, man, yeah, I can reunite with one of my good friends from back in the day. We could play games like the old days. And Nos is like, we're all gonna die anyway. Why does it even matter? It's just
oh man,
might as well just get it over with.
Right. So, if it's okay with you, Lord Nos, is it okay to go on to our regular segments now?
You have my permission and my blessing. We can move along.
Beautiful, thank you. People have been asking for Racing Corner back again, and people said earlier when we were asking for suggestions that if you guys watched the same motorsports, you could talk about it. Don't start with me, chat, because it's never going to happen. I lost the hope for that to happen last year, and it's just not going to happen.
Well, I saw that Jimmy Johnson, Lowe's, is ending his sponsorship. So does anybody care? No.
Well, Formula One, F1's starting next week. Next weekend.
Oh yeah, something about halos or something, right? And they're ugly. I don't know. Like, wow.
Oh my gosh.
You mean that the pink cars and the yellow cars and the blue cars are all going to crash in the first corner, and then Lewis Hamilton's going to win? Whoa. Ooh, what a sport.
And grid kids. Grid kids!
Grid kids.
Oh god, Nos. Seriously, this is the lowest I've ever seen, the most cynical I've ever seen.
I just
let's
put the hat on. Maybe it'll cheer you up.
Let's do some joke of the week, because I'm sure Nos will have some choice words to say about these jokes.
Nothing makes me feel better like watching other people fail almost as spectacularly as I do on a daily basis.
Nos, I know how to cheer you up.
I will view you and wave.
It's
That's it.
Poor Nos. He's getting well beaten up this.
Oh. I have a headache.
That's a podcast highlight. The chat loves it.
I want to cry.
All right, let's look at these chokes. Let's start these up.
Let's shoutcast them for
our listeners.
Back home. You're listening to 103.2 Choking Hazard podcast. Let me know when we're starting.
All right, we'll start now. There we go.
All right, this video is entitled "A Panda Takes a Left." We're in the mule over in the oil derrick section. Wait, this is in the oil. This is the scrapyard. Whatever this place is, I don't care. I'm sick, and someone has taken a wrong turn.
Oh no!
Panda has went left, but it wasn't the right left in a mule, and he's lost the race at the very end. Oh my goodness, what a choke! Sarsh with his comments that you can't hear because I'm shoutcasting. Wow!
That's not where the checkpoint is.
Yeah, that's I mean, right at the end, losing the
right way last.
An excellent assessment from actual Panda there. That's not where the checkpoint is. Wow.
And then we're in the Pitch Buster Dominator at the very end.
Drift with the oversteer.
Oh no, he's falling off.
Right off the side of a stunt piece track, having to respawn. He was in first place at the finish line. Oh my goodness, and he's overtaken for the loss. For the loss at the end of the race, just right at the end. Unbelievable plays.
Mr. Boss for the loss.
We've had some proper chokes so far.
And now we've got Forza 6, my favorite man on the planet, Johnny 362000, in the GTR. Lap 10 of 10, fuel 3%, Oh my goodness, he's on Spa on one of the first turns. Is he gonna make it to the end of the track? A cutaway,
Spa's
a beautiful
a pretty long
fade
track.
with the video editing as we come into the final hairpin of Spa that I never can get right on any racing game. It seems as though he's lost some engine power here. He can't even get to the red line of first gear.
No.
And now, here comes every single other person on the grid to pass him with the finish line right in view.
Oh my days, this is painful. He's just sat with the finish line right there. And he's every single person is going past him. 10 out of 24. He was in the lead. It was the last corner of a 10-lap race in the rain. And he's run out of fuel on the final. Oh my god. Every single person flying past.
Wow.
Oh my god. Oh, if anybody is listening to this, you have to watch it.
Watch that one.
You have to watch it. You do.
I rate that one a definite 10 out of 10.
Wow.
There. 10 out of 10 laps, 10 out of 10 rating.
Oh my days. We do have a
honorable mention.
An honorable mention.
Damn.
From who was this from?
Bloody squirrels.
Bloody squirrels. There we go. Let's have a look at this. Start it now.
All right, we're on Euro Truck on an unnecessarily tiny road for such a big vehicle because your infrastructure is awful. Wait a minute.
It's American Truck.
It's American Truck.
Yes! Beautiful. And we've had a crash. We've had a... Wow, that car's gone flying. And the story behind this is that bloody squirrels actually fell asleep at the wheel in real life and crashed in the game. But the story of that clip was that Nos was complaining about the roads on Euro Truck and how American Truck is just so much better when it was actually on American Truck Simulator. That choke of the week should probably go to Nos for that one. Oh, that's brilliant. That's what and he's left. Nos is gone. Nos is officially gone at this point for anybody who's not watching. So yeah, good job, bloody squirrels, for falling asleep in real life at the wheel. I can't even imagine how you did that, but
wow.
Good job, Nos, for sticking. That was going to happen. To be fair, this podcast, the way that he's been so cynical about everything.
He's gone.
He has actually gone. He's not. I don't think he's coming back. I think this is it. This is it for the end of the.
I'm waiting for him to walk in my door. I love it
because he always complains about Euro Truck and the very thin roads.
He does.
Always.
And now it's actually bitten him in the ass because he was looking at American
There he is.
It has. Done.
He looks very sheepish and red-faced. You okay, Nos? Everything all good with you? You gonna hop on some American Truck Simulator and enjoy those really wide open roads for you?
He's just dehydrated. That's what it was.
That's what it was. That's what it was.
He's delirious. He doesn't know what he's talking about.
So, choke of the week, sugar-free Nos.
Congratulations.
Good job.
You're bad.
You are terrible.
Identifying game.
I'm upset.
Yeah, I'm upset. What do we have? Do we have results for the actual choke of the week? Are they in?
Yeah.
Yeah. Is it pretty landslidey? I feel like it should be landslidey. I mean, I was going to say choke 3.
Take a guess.
Yeah.
Choke 3.
I choose Johnny.
Yeah, I think that
choke 3.
For me personally, that's probably the best choke that we've ever had on the podcast. I've never seen anything like that before, choke wise, right before the line.
It was an amazing lapse of judgment.
Just seeing everybody fly past was just fantastic. Did everybody agree?
With 91% of the vote.
Landslide.
Congratulations, Johnny.
I thought the Dominator one was good, but
all 3 of them were proper chokes, to be fair. Everybody was in the lead and missed right at the end and ended up losing, but that one was the best. Well done, Johnny. You are terrible. You are awful. You are horrendous. But at least you've won the choke of the week.
Funny thing, Johnny actually had that video as a meme with some music over it, and he put it in my Discord. And I was like, "You need to submit this for the choke of the week." So
Yeah.
he edited it and did it. So
that is one of the best chokes I've ever seen from this choke of the week. That would
bravo,
win.
Johnny.
That would win the winners of the if you put all the winners of all these chokes of the weeks together, I think that would be still top dog.
Yeah.
So
It's tragic
RDT.
as well because
Say again?
Spa in the rain
Yeah.
is for 10 laps.
Yeah.
That's a nightmare of a race.
Yeah, and being on in the lead right at the end, last corner, 10 laps. He's done well right up until that last moment.
Yeah.
All right, RDT. Do we have some
Oh,
apple juice minute?
If anybody wants to get in the phone bank as well, Ness.
Oh yeah, sorry, I forgot to mention about the phone bank. I also forgot to mention that people can vote on the choke of the week. That was in the chat, but that's obviously happened now. Not been on the game. But if anyone wants to ask any questions for any of us, the phone bank is open. MB Hammer will be taking your calls. And if Mikey's around, I don't want any questions from Mikey.
I think he's entitled to follow.
We never know what's going to happen. We never know what he might
right.
No, I'm joking, of course.
We're okay this week.
Yeah.
We don't have
My
just
head.
us.
Ooh.
RDT.
Oh, hello. I think we all know what tomorrow is.
I don't.
I'm hoping. You don't?
No,
What do you think? Why do you think I'm wearing this shirt? Not just because I love it.
I don't know what that is.
Tomorrow's good old St. Patty's Day. Okay.
Garday.
So I had to pace myself today. I can't. I got a hard day tomorrow. Long day.
Of course.
Full of celebrating. And so this is going to be a different one. A very different Joking Hazard podcast, Apple Juice Minute, RDT's Apple Juice Minute. Because I don't have a regular apple juice, a more common apple juice. In this glass, I have one of the most important liquids in all known humanity. If you know what the Gaelic for water of life is, you would know what word came from that. And it would be whiskey. Not just any whiskey. This is Jameson's. This is a pure Irish drab. And it's good for you. It's my medicine. And this is the one drink that I'm going to have today to start the celebration before tomorrow. So to all my Irish Americans out there who are going to celebrate like idiots, and to all my actual Irish people like Ramo, who's going to celebrate sensibly, as they do. We're going to drink. If they say everyone's a little bit Irish on St. Patrick's Day. And if you're not with us, you're against us. And if you're against us, then Pog Mahone.
Very different. Just minute this time with whiskey.
It's about the culture. It's about the culture. Okay.
I like that. You're working these apple juice minutes around current events and what's happening and special occasions. It's good. It's
You're an excellent journalist.
Doing my best.
You're doing a very good job.
Be my own segment. It's very quaffable.
It's
the most
very
quaffable thing.
quaffable. Yes, the word. We never actually made that the official word for last week's podcast, and I think we should make it the word for this week's podcast. So when you're giving us your thoughts in the comments about what you want to see from the podcast, we need quaffable in there so that we know you've been listening. What a word that was.
That was
Good
great.
stuff. That was great. Love
I had to
that
keep
word.
it civil. I don't want to make my culture and my heritage look bad. I can do that as an American. I do that with Ulysses Northcutt anytime.
Yeah. Okay, of course.
But my ancestors would be rolling in their graves.
You'll insult my people, but you won't insult your people.
Of course. You're such an easy target. We've been through enough.
It's always interesting, like that. I've always found this an interesting part of the American sort of way, how you're quite a young country and you have all of these different Irish Americans and all of these different people have come from all these different places to be now American, whereas we don't really have that, like in the UK or in general in countries in Europe. It's just from that country, and you don't your ancestry goes into that country unless you go back to 1500s, 1600s, things like that.
And that's why, not to get political, the whole American national pride and everything is kind of strange to me, because you're like, yeah, we came to this plot of dirt on this rock in the middle of the universe, and it's the greatest plot of dirt in the existence of the universe. And it's like, well, we all came from another country, the majority of us at least.
That's a lie. I'm an American. Okay. Yeah. Nothing else. I'm an American.
How far,
is in fact the greatest plot of dirt in the world.
But how common is it to know? Like, obviously Andy T, you're Irish, but Nos, do you know your ancestry?
I don't care. I'm American. You don't care.
Okay, so is it not necessarily the most common thing that everybody actually gives a damn about where they come from?
I don't know if that's the case for everybody. I mean, like. There was an episode of South Park, right? Like, the only reason you really know, like, oh, I'm 4.257% Irish, be offended about something, like, oh, you can't call me a Mick. I'm whatever slang, or I don't actually know what a derogatory term for an Irish man would be, but
If you wanted to follow this up, you guys could all go and do 23andMe tests.
Yeah, but those are expensive. Those cost money. That's not.
we could try and get sponsored by them, because I've seen them. Stuff before.
I have no desire, because rant time. My grandmother and my mother care about this extensively. They want to know, what is our genealogy? Where did we come from? And why does it matter? Explain to me why it matters. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if my great-great-great-great-great-great-grandpa, came from wherever. That doesn't affect me now. It doesn't matter. Nothing matters. No one cares, okay? Look, all I know for certain is that my ancestors owned slaves, because everyone's ancestors owned slaves if you watch that show on PBS. So, that's it.
I, for one, am interested in my heritage, because my surname is Indian and I'm paler than a bottle of milk. So I want to know at what point that crept into my lineage somewhere.
Maybe I can. Maybe in a special situation. Okay, But when you're John Smith, professional white man. What does it matter? Nothing matters. It doesn't matter if you're Scottish or you're Irish. At the end of the day,
Yeah, but then we're getting dangerously close to a nihilistic kind of dreary outlook on life.
Are we getting
in general.
close? I thought I've been there for the past hour.
Yeah,
it's like
I don't think we should take Nos's perspective on things right now to be.
He's delirious. I said he's dehydrated. No, but it's fun. It's fun. Like, my family came here in the early to quarter part of the last century, so we haven't even been here that long. So it's like, it's cool to know what your ancestors are.
You get enjoyment out of it. That is the purpose.
It's your own personal history. Do you like history now? Do you like knowing that George Washington chopped down a cherry tree and was like, yeah, I did that shit? Or like, so you just care about the here and now and your partnership. That's it.
Yes, exactly. I care about my own personal gain in the here and now, and that is it.
I mean, I do find it interesting to a certain extent. It would be fun to, try and trace back my roots, but it's not the sort of thing that is done as commonly over here, I think, because it's not as interesting as it is for you guys, coming from all these different countries. But I would find it interesting to, know all about that. Maybe I'll probably do it at some point in my life. I don't really care to do it right now, but yeah.
That's for when you're 45, retired, nothing better to do.
Retired at 45. Holy hell.
That'd be nice.
Well, you're going to be successful. I just know how successful you are on Twitch.
Professional white man.
Yeah,
professional white man. Yeah.
That's my title. How are we doing on the phone bank? Do we actually have any callers?
We do.
We do?
One question.
One question? Okay, let's...
Now, are you sure we have one question?
Oh,
Rip, never mind.
I wish people would be more professional. I really do. We need more professional people phoning in, I think.
Yes. Professional white.
Let's not go there.
you're verging into a different type of podcast territory there. Right, so
Louder,
the first question is from Mr. AJ Malloy, and I believe it's a follow-up question to the question that you asked last time.
Oh, that's beautiful. Hello, caller. You're on the Jug Hazard podcast, the show where Nos has lost all will to live. Who's your question? And what's your question?
My question is for everybody, and if you remember, asked 2 weeks about how you think the character of GTA has changed. And I want to know how basically the development you've seen in GTA 5 and online changed the way you look forward to Rockstar's coming games like Red Dead Redemption 2.
See, we always end up in a rant. He's asking about GTA and how it's changed, and it's going to end up in rant about it. See, it's not our fault this time.
Anything. I don't even want Red Dead anymore. I just want to go to bed. I just want to be partnered and go to bed forever.
Well, I think that was the question where you asked like how GTA kind of
the character of its
the character of it in general, like how it was silly, it got a little serious and stuff like that. I don't know. I think what I'm worried more about rather than the change of the character is where the game industry as a whole is going with this microtransaction model and the games as a service model. Because, I loved Red Dead Redemption. I love the game Bully. If they announced a Bully 2, I would immediately think, how are they going to put microtransactions into this? Am I going to have to, put in real money to get lunch in the cafeteria or, stuff like this?
Yeah, that's kind of your first thought these days, isn't it? Like when a game's released, or announced, it's not, oh, I'm really excited about that game. It's, oh, how is it going to try to nickel and dime us now?
Yeah. Yeah. And to be fair, a lot of people say, oh, well, video games is the only industry that the price of the game hasn't gone up as far as inflation is considered. Like, all right, yeah, fine. If they made games $80, I probably wouldn't buy as many of them.
Yeah, but they forget to explain that the cost of games has gone down to produce as well. Because they don't have to, it's all digital distribution now, and they don't have to pay to make
and they sell more copies.
And they sell so many more copies,
Yeah, and like Wild Hair said, indie games are a great alternative to these big AAA games because they don't try to shoehorn these microtransactions into it. So it's not really the way that Rockstar has gone as far as creating their games and their stories. It's more of them assimilating to what the culture of the game industry is, in my opinion.
The AAA game industry.
Yeah.
AAA.
AAA now is a mark for.
There you go. Thank you, Hammer. He can actually do it.
It's now a mark for just microtransaction filled live services rather than games these days. There's a few
live services.
There's a few good game companies out there maybe that do proper games, but on the whole they're not. And Rockstar are sort of, I don't know, we haven't had a new game from Rockstar since GTA, so it's going to be interesting to see where they land on that spectrum with Red Dead.
Let's hope it's good.
The question mainly came about because when they announced Red Dead Redemption 2, I was like, ooh, finally a follow-up to probably my favorite Rockstar game. But nowadays, just looking at GTA, I'm just seeing everything that's been in there that's like going crazy and all the microtransactions.
Yeah.
And it makes me really not really wanting to look forward to it anymore.
Yeah, of course. And it does it does take away from your enjoyment of games, having all these microtransactions and things. Games aren't games anymore. But they are ultimately successful because there's so many more people who play games without a specific investment to them like we do. I would say we're enthusiasts for games. We're not just general public, and people will buy the microtransactions, be successful, and they've got no. If they lose us as the enthusiast portion, then they're not going to lose that much because they've still got tons of people buying microtransactions.
The casuals. It's all the casuals' fault.
But
everything.
I don't know.
Casual console peasants buying the shark cards. All right.
I don't get excited about any games anymore these days. I just don't. It's just because of the way that the industry's going. and I like to try out indie games and things
cards.
like that.
Coyote cards to buy that missile shooting Donkey Donk classic
with dollar rim hoops.
Ooh,
Yeah,
that's pretty good there, Hazard.
I don't know. It's going to be interesting. It will be interesting to see. I think Red Dead Redemption 2 is going to be the litmus test for Rockstar going forward. You know, is it going to be a great story with minimal microtransactions that aren't like GTA? And then we know that, okay, maybe it's only going to be GTA that they're going to, you know, really go after with insane business practices and wanting to take as much money from us as possible. Or if it goes the other way and Red Dead is, you know, average story-wise, maybe like what we feel GTA 5 is compared to the older games. It's nothing special, and it has microtransactions filled for online. They supposedly put a battle royale game mode in there. That's why it's been delayed again. So they're at least going towards the mainstream on that respect to shoehorn battle royale into it. Somebody want to tell me how Cowboy's going to parachute
down? Somebody want to tell me this? How's a cowboy going to parachute down into a closing circle? How? I don't understand.
Well, they're actually using the Fortnite approach, but with a covered wagon flying in the sky.
What in tarnation?
So, you know, microtransactions are going to be in because Take-Two have said that they're going to put them in every game going forward. It's just, we're going to have to wait and see how it is. But...
An air balloon.
That still doesn't solve the parachute.
Yes. Hot air balloon to splash.
Just like some of those cloth pajamas, like the onesies, you just hold them. You float down.
But it's an interesting time for the gaming industry in general, and all you can do is try to wait and see before you actually buy it. Don't pre-order it, just wait and see what the game is like. Buy it a day or two after when it's all come out there, and if there's some initial problems with the game or there's videos going up saying Red Dead full of microtransactions, then just don't buy it, don't support it.
I'm sorry, but my content depends on it, so I have to buy a PS4 and the game. So.
Okay.
I would say I was hyped for Red Dead, regardless of how they've treated GTA. Maybe a little less hyped than usual, until that last trailer, which they hyped the fuck out of, and it was a terrible trailer. It was terrible. It literally did not interest me in the slightest. So, moral of the story, Rockstar: if you don't want to lose customers, don't hype shit trailers.
Okay,
fair enough.
I like the trailers. I don't know what you're going on about. You leave it to the nihilists to like things.
Thank you for the question, AJ. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Hope we answered it sufficiently.
Yeah.
Sure.
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 You didn't, but
well, whatever. Yeah.
We've had two sneaky questions drop into the phone bank now.
Yeah.
We've got one of two ways. We can go a light way or a heavy way. Which way do you want to go first?
You mean there's a light question and a heavy question?
There is a light question and a heavy question.
Let's do the light one first.
No. You want to end on a heavy question?
Well,
sure.
Yeah. All right.
Okay.
That's cliffhanger.
All right. We've got a question from Mr. Gyros7.
Hello, caller. You're on the Nihilistic Hazard podcast, the show where nothing matters and I want to die. What's your question? I just want to get out of here, please. I couldn't make it through that one.
Hey, guys. So my question is, getting away from all the big AAA games that are coming out this year, Red Dead 2 and all that, because I don't want you to start ranting again. Are there any indie are there any indie games this year that you're looking forward to, or any indie games that you're planning on playing or you're looking forward to playing?
Right now it's on Xbox. It's in game preview. I really like We Happy Few. I think it's supposed to come out later on in this year.
Didn't they delay that and offer refunds and stuff?
Probably.
That's completely disqualified because it's no
Why?
longer
And then
Because it got a
publisher,
Because it got
and then
by a
they
publisher?
had all the
Got by a
season passes
scumbag
and
publisher.
AAA.
So
and
what?
It became a
still started
AAA
out.
game.
Well, it started out as an indie game. Like, when I started playing it, it was an indie in development game. So doesn't that count?
I don't know.
Screw you guys. I don't like anything. Nah. Cuphead 2. Get Cuphead 2 out here. Jeez.
Yeah, there you go. That's good.
It's gonna take 12 years to make, but still.
I genuinely don't think there's anything I'm particularly excited for or interested in at the minute. Like, there's a few games that I'm going to be playing on stream, like Cuphead, that I want to give it a go. And
Good luck, bud.
I know I'm going to rage at it. It's going to be fine. But there's nothing that is like getting my attention. And it's funny that I'm starting to enjoy GTA now as Nos is hating it even more. I've started to actually enjoy it a bit more. And that's just because I've been playing a variety of different things since stunt races have been broken. I've been doing all these other things and like the businesses, and it's been not too bad. I mean, it's going to wear off pretty quickly, I can tell, but something a little bit fresh. But when it comes to other games, nothing in particular that's jumping out to me.
Games with Gold this half of the month is super hot. I just downloaded that, so I'm gonna be playing that.
Probably should get that.
Yeah, I'll play that as well. I've been thinking about buying it, but now I don't have to.
It's free now.
To play in VR for so long, and I've still not been able to do a stream on it. But
well, anyway, I'll answer the question.
Rearrange my living room so I don't knock anything over.
Problem with indie games, the problem is that they don't have very much marketing, so it's a lot harder for you to hear about good indie games that are coming out and get excited for them because you don't know they exist.
You only know them after they've already gotten some attention, and then you play it and you think this is great. You didn't have that chance
after
to be
they're already out. They come out and they're like, "Oh my goodness, look at this indie game! It's so amazing! You've got to play it right now!" But you didn't have time to get hyped for it because you see this article or this streamer play it, and then you buy it. There's no hype there. It's just I have a new game now. However, my game of the year 2016. My summer car. We've talked about this in the past. My summer car.
2016.
We're going back quite a while now.
Yeah.
It came out in the last few months of 2016. It's been being developed over the course of the past year and into this year. And I'm excited to see where it goes. My summer car has had a lot of features added, a lot of new things, and it's one of my favorite games I've ever played. So.
Okay. I mean, I've got that on my list to try out as well.
It's a game where you need chat to backseat for you. Just listen to chat, and they'll make you through it.
Okay.
Yeah.
They'll get you through.
Just a follow-up question to what Broffy said about enjoying GTA more. Obviously, you went through the results of your survey that you did all the way back, and you did the video on your second channel. I was just wondering, how is that going to affect, is it going to have any major effect on the way that you're currently doing things, like video-wise, or number of streams, or length of streams, or anything like that?
Yeah, the podcast's cancelled.
Cancel the podcast. It's getting no views. Nobody's watching. Everybody hates it.
Nobody watches it.
Well, actually, because obviously, I do rowing, and this weekend I'm representing the London Borough at the Junior Nationals. So, and I was listening to the podcast on the way up.
Hold on, wait back.
No, seriously. This is just a bit of background. No, it's
in the door to
no, it's not. I swear.
Yes.
No, because I was listening.
No, good.
I was listening to it on the way up, and people were like, "Oh, what are you listening to?" And I was like, "Oh, it's this podcast by a YouTuber and stuff." And they were like, "Oh, how about you put it on? You can listen to it." Yeah, I know. So now you've got Nos, you've got 20 people listening to your podcast for a radio show on the way.
Yeah, that's exactly what you wanted. Yeah. This is a terrible reaction.
No, look, this show is a solitary one-on-one experience with me and the driver.
Okay, so you're not for bus consumption or coach consumption. It's solitary one-on-one when someone's.
Ooh. They just like people who aren't involved with this community at all. Like, listen to me.
So yeah, shout out to London.
It's the worst reaction I've ever heard.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Roists.
Yeah, roasters. Do your job and duty and win the race with the things and the oars and on the
boat.
I do have a question. When you row your boat, do you do it merrily? Or are you kind of cynical and nihilistic like the rest of us?
It's always merrily. It's always merrily. That's half the sport.
Being married, half the sport.
It's good to know. It's good to know.
What was the question again?
Getting you on as a
guest. The videos and the survey results. I did do the survey results in the end, and I'd kind of already looked at the results before, and I'd put certain things into action, but I think it's not really going to change too much. It's just more a case of using it to fine-tune various different things and what I'll focus on more than others, rather than doing any massive major changes to what I do. So, but it was helpful.
Okay.
3 podcasts a week.
Yeah. Thank you for your questions.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks for your questions.
Cheers.
2 questions, I know. What?
Good luck.
When did we
2
start doing follow-up questions?
A question, a follow-up question, and a plug. That guy.
Should have just muted that guy up. I'm sorry.
Very efficient call.
I thought,
he got everything he needed.
That was great. I don't know why.
I'm only joking.
Yeah, that was great.
That was fun.
Yeah, that was great. Thank you.
Okay, so you guys wanted the heavy question last, so we've got
here we go.
Mr. C. Balbuena.
At least I'm prepared for it now.
Hello, caller, in the Choking Hazard podcast, the show where your question isn't as heavy as my existential dread. I did not say that word right. Which
existential.
Which way down into a pit of despair. So, ask your question so we can get out of here.
Jesus.
Well, before I ask my question, I want to say, get well soon, Nos. Before that.
Wow, thank you. That almost makes me want to...
Everybody, Ciba Buena, thanks for your question. All right.
Okay, we're done.
All right.
And then Ciba Buena, what is it?
He was just saying.
My question is,
sorry.
Do you think that violence video games cause school shootings or whatever type of shootings that it caused
No, it does not. Nope.
Why?
See, this is why I said it wasn't going to be a heavy question, because
systematic disregard for the mental health of students, complete disregard for bullying, and a stupid, archaic, double standard punishment system is what causes school shootings. Not video games, not media. That is what causes it. It is children who are not in a supportive family. It is children who are not being cared for like they deserve to be cared for. And it is children who do not get the help that they need on a daily basis. These are the children who are unfortunately feel like they're being pushed to do this. So, no, it is not video games or music or anything that anyone else wants to blame. It is the fact that children are not getting the help that they deserve, and they are putting into a toxic and negative atmosphere that is high school. That is the problem. So, there.
That and easy access to guns, though, right?
Yeah. I don't think... this is getting...
We're getting way too political now. This is going to open up a can of worms.
and the ease of access to... because I'm pretty left-leaning, but I still think that with the proper checks and balances and, due diligence, which requires so much effort, I think that, if you are a sports shooter and you want a semi-automatic rifle for sports shooting, if you meet the extensive level of criteria that could be set up to do that, I think you should be able to have one. I don't think they should just be banned.
You should have to go through 10 tests over the course of 3 years and really actually want it.
It should be extensive.
Yeah.
Listen, I like bowling. I like bowling, but I would never put a bowling alley in my house. I'll go to a bowling alley and I'll go bowling. If I want to shoot a 30-round mag out of an AR-15, I should have to go to a shooting range to do that.
That's a fair argument.
A controlled environment. You know how much I had to do to get my license?
What?
Go down to the courthouse.
Like I gotta do all this testing. I gotta have 6 months probationary period. I gotta do all this. Meanwhile, this kid in Florida went down to Walmart or wherever he went at Dick's Sporting Goods, and in like 5 minutes got an AR-15. And it's not just AR-15s, because there are similar rifles that have the same capacity and are semi-automatic. It's considered sport, and you can do damage with a shotgun and everything. It's not necessarily the guns themselves; it is the people, but the ease of access and the testing and the control. That's what we mean by gun control. It's not enough, in my opinion. But the video games, me playing Wolfenstein, it's cathartic. It's like I get to do this virtually. I don't want to do that in real life. You get to do the things in video games. That's the entire point that you can't do. I can't drive a Lamborghini Gallardo around Silverstone at 200 miles per hour and crash into a wall. I'll die. And I also can't afford that stuff. So I do it in Forza.
And I think the one thing that underpins all of this and just sweeps it under the completely takes the rug from under the feet of people who think it is video games, when I don't think anybody really thinks it is, but it's just a deflectionary tactic that people use to deflect away from more gun control and all this kind of stuff. But
it is.
One thing that you can say is that these same games are played all over the world in all these different countries that don't have these problems with school shootings, guns being in kids getting guns, all this kind of stuff. Makes no difference in any other country. What's the difference? It only happens in America. Why? Yeah. It's not the video games, because you have the video games everywhere else as well.
Yeah.
But it is. I just don't speaking from as an outsider, looking in on America. I just don't understand it whatsoever. How it can be so lax on guns. I just don't get how it is a thing. How is it not more? Why are people not doing anything about it? I just can't wrap my head around it.
Because the NRA has an extremely, extremely successful and expensive lobbying campaign.
Well, yeah, it's all one goal,
which is selling more firearms. They trick you into being afraid and thinking that your only solution is to buy a firearm. And in some situations, that firearms are needed. Okay. Yeah. My grandmother lives 2 doors down. Her house has been broken into once in the past couple of months, and a stranger came up in her yard in the middle of the night and was attempting to steal things out of her yard. Police response to my neighborhood is 30 to 40 minutes, right? And we're just, we're just out in the county somewhere. There, it is not like we are in a central urban zone where a police officer can be here to help me within 2 minutes. That is not how it works. If someone was to kick down that door in my house and come back here, I better hope that I'm bigger than them, which is highly unlikely. That's it. That's the only thing that is going to save me. And an officer of the law is not going to save me. Prayer is not going to save me. What will save me is a tool to defend myself. And that is when guns are needed. But, I don't think that I should be able to walk down to the courthouse, get a piece of paper, and then go buy a gun on the same day. Or within a week. I don't think it should be that easy.
But it's like nothing seems to be changing. It's just how many times are you going to have school shootings, and they get worse and worse and worse.
It's like the Onion articles that they just repost every single shoot. Yeah, there you go.
Oh yeah.
No way to stop this.
Yeah, this is the only nation where this regularly happens. Yeah. Yeah. It just baffles me as an outsider looking into it. I think I saw it was Judge Judy, and a Judge Judy episode where there's these gun guys, enthusiasts in front of her, and she said something like, everybody in America should be allowed to buy a gun, but you should have to take a proficiency test, a psychological test, a mental health test, all this kind of stuff, all these tests, and it should take you 3 years to be able to do all of this, and then you can have a gun once you've shown that you can actually handle a gun properly. And I just can't. That seems so obvious to me. That's just a thing that should be here now. Why is that not a thing? But the fact that people can just walk into a gun store and get a gun off the street, and these big guns, rifles, it just baffles me that anybody can justify that as being a good thing.
Yeah,
I mean, I would probably go one step further with the checks and have regular mental health checks, because mental health.
Yeah, things change. You can get fired from your job.
Yeah,
exactly.
If you own a gun, you should have to go through these tests and consistently on a regular basis renew your license.
I have to register my car every 2 years. I got to make sure that it's safe to drive.
Yeah. Yeah, that's it. Like we in the UK, you have to take your car to have its MOT, get it tested every single year to make sure it's safe. Your driving license will run out at a certain point, and sometimes as you start to get older, you need to retake your driving test and things like that. And it just seems like, how can that be the case even for stuff in the US, but not for guns, one of the most dangerous things? It's just unbelievable.
In order to have a safe and free union, you have the right to bear arms and a well-regulated militia. And when they wrote that, it was like muskets.
Yeah,
it took a minute to reload.
Yeah, exactly.
And then you'll hear people say, well, they obviously didn't know that Twitter was going to be allowed, so should everybody have the right to free speech since, your opinion can be broadcasted to millions of people, blah, blah, blah. It's like, then why can't I own a minigun? Why can't I own a nuke? Isn't that my right to bear that arm? Yeah. Can I have that if I'm safe and responsible?
Well, in America, firearm ownership is considered a right and not a privilege, because that's how the Constitution was written.
Because God knows. It's a right.
I mean, I think the world progresses. I think the world changes. I think things change. And why? I mean, the Constitution has amendments for a reason. I mean, how about all those amendments, for the whole slavery kerfuffle that we were in there for a little while? Yeah. We changed that. It is something that can be changed and should be changed, in my opinion. And
we had to put an amendment in to have 2 senators per state. So, why can't we change that? Why can't we change that?
It seems very backwards, but I mean, what can you do? Video games is just a deflectionary tactic that they use, and then everyone talks about video games, nothing ever changes, and then the next thing will happen and they'll use something else to blame it on instead of guns, and it will just continue. That's how it works. So,
but that's what I mean, Urko.
If you
it's
thought
like
our comment section was bad last week,
oh my God,
people won't get to the end.
That Nos guy, I hope that he would be the only voice of reason, and he wants to take on my guns too.
That these soy boy snowflakes want to take away our AR-15s and our other semi-automatic rifles.
At the very least, I mean, I'm more conservative than most. I mean, it should be a tiered license system. I mean, you have to have a CDL to drive a big truck. You have to go through further training to own and operate a heavy truck. Why, you should be able to get a higher level of license that would allow you to have a semi-automatic rifle for sport shooting.
Yeah, but to be fair, the AR-15 is a 22. It's not the most dangerous rifle, but it's the most common. That's what we're talking about. It's like people, there's a lot of misinformation out there about this in general, and I'm pro-gun, but I'm also pro-reasonable ownership of guns. It's like, if you look at the last whatever amount of shootings, they were all purchased legally, and there's a way to change that. People will always say, well, if a criminal wants to commit a crime, they'll do it anyway. It's like, yeah, but this kid just went in and bought this and committed the crime.
It's a lot harder to kill 47 people from a balcony in Las Vegas, or however many it was, with a
50
knife.
Something. Yeah, true.
Yeah.
But
it's just
or with a handgun, or with a 4-round bolt-action hunting rifle. It's a lot harder.
Yeah.
So,
do you ever need that's the thing? Do you ever need anything more if you're talking about to be able to defend yourself? Do you ever need anything more than just a handgun or a slow shooting rifle or something like that? You don't need this semi-automatic or automatic big rifles.
Well, all automatic is illegal.
Right. Okay.
Well, mostly illegal.
Yeah,
so it's only semi-automatic.
Right.
You can't buy an Uzi that just automatic fires.
Yeah.
But it's only semi-automatic. Right. You can't buy an Uzi that just automatic fires. You can't buy an Uzi that just automatic fires. You can't buy an Uzi that just automatic fires. You can't buy an Uzi that just automatic fires. You can't buy an Uzi that just automatic fires. You can't buy an Uzi that just automatic fires. You can't buy an Uzi that just automatic fires. You can't buy an Uzi that just automatic fires. You can't buy an Uzi that just automatic fires. You can't buy an Uzi that just automatic fires. You can't buy an Uzi that just automatic fires. You can't buy an Uzi that just automatic fires. You can't buy an Uzi that just automatic fires. You can't buy an Uzi that just automatic fires. You can't buy an Uzi that just automatic fires. You can't buy an Uzi that just automatic fires. You can't buy an Uzi that just automatic fires. You can't buy an Uzi that just automatic fires. You can't buy an Uzi that just automatic fires. You can't bu But yeah, it's tough. It's a very nuanced answer. Like you need to look at a lot of different things, and it's not something that's going to be solved overnight.
Yeah.
It's going to take a lot of time, but
it almost feels like
something.
Yeah, it almost feels like they don't want to solve it at all.
Yeah,
it's just nothing changes. But yeah, something else that gets me about America is how easy it is to get a driving license over there. I can't believe
brought up,
how easy it is to get a driving license. Sorry.
Draconis brought up the fact that you don't need a CDL to buy a truck or to drive it on private property. And I think in my state with guns, you don't actually need a permit to keep a firearm in your car or in your home. But how do you get it to your home? How do you get it to your car? You gotta carry it. You've got to carry it on. You've got to carry it from where you buy it on public property to your private property. I mean, do you have someone that has a gun permit? But then it's not. No. Like, I mean, it's a tiered license system makes, in my opinion, something like that, and it should be hard to get. If I should not, I think I'll be 21 in April, and I'm pretty sure that if I wanted to go buy a firearm, I could get it done in a week. Probably. You
can now.
Alabama. Yeah, and especially in Alabama.
Yeah, you can't get a natty light, but you can go get an AR-15.
Well, yeah, I could get a shotgun or a rifle, but I couldn't get a handgun.
Yeah, which is ridiculous.
That makes no sense to me.
That's just the way it is. Yeah.
Oh man.
Well,
yeah,
handguns
it's unbelievable.
it makes sense to me because of hunting, how prevalent hunting is, and how important hunting is to some people's way of life and culture. I mean, it makes sense that, a 16-year-old should be able to, have a 4-round capacity bolt-action rifle, but not something that he can hide in his backpack. Yeah, that makes sense to me.
But Kinder eggs are illegal. That is exactly right, Rex. You can't get Kinder eggs in the US because they think they're a choking hazard. You have some funny ways, America, I've got to say.
Yep.
You do some things very interesting ways.
Unloaded without a permit. Okay, so that's the catch. It has to be unloaded. Okay.
But anyway, this is this turned. Thank you, C-Bob Werner, for the loaded question. It wasn't a difficult question to answer, I don't think, but it was.
No, it's not a difficult question. Video games do not cause real life violence.
Yeah. But we.
And I won't rant again either.
It certainly put us on a topic that we very rarely delve into.
It's appalling how toxic of a world high school is, and how unsupportive adults are of children in need. It is appalling and sickening, honestly.
How would you know? You got chucked out.
I know because I have to. Luckily, I was fortunate enough to not have to go to high school because I was homeschooled, but my cousins are in high school, and I have to listen to the awful, terrible, hateful things that go on day to day, and it's just normal to them. They don't have a problem with it, but from my position of not having to go through that is not normal, and it is not okay. It's not okay for there to be 3 fights every single day at high school, because you slept with my man.
I was thinking about that just recently. So, at school, you quite often, if you're in Scotland anyway, you quite often get into fights. Now, if a fight happens in school, you get in trouble at school. Maybe the teachers put you in detention or whatever. That's fine. In the real world, if you punch someone, that's assault. You get charged for that shit. At school, no, it's all right. It's all right. They're just
knock it off, you two. Yeah. You're gonna go to the principal's office.
That's assault.
It's interesting how we've turned very political this podcast. This is something that this has been like a very different way of doing things. Maybe that's going to be what we're going to do in the future. We're just going to start doing a political podcast and get people riled up.
And Thomason commented there, echoing what I said at first, but I mean, those are aspects of an issue. I mean, yes, firearms are very easy to villainize, but if you completely disregard the ease of acquiring a firearm as a subject to be talked about and a portion of the issue, I think you're doing a disservice. they're all hard problems to solve, and I think every aspect of the problem is worth talking about. With not from mental health to gun control to having a more less toxic and supportive environment in high school. In general, I mean, it's all part of the problem.
I thought one common thread that I saw going around on the internet after the Parkland shooting was, one guy tried to blow up a plane with his shoes. Tried, it wasn't successful, and now we all have to take off our shoes before we board a plane. But like 7,000 kids have been killed since Sandy Hook, I think, something like that, something crazy, or But we won't do anything about weapons.
That's the thing. That's what gets me the most. It's like how.
It's kids.
How much does it have to be? I mean, surely one child dying at a school should have been enough to start changes.
One pet died on a plane. Yeah, died in an overhead compartment, and they're already starting to look at different laws to prevent that from happening.
Yeah, yet they don't do anything about guns.
Keeping with the nihilistic theme, I don't think it matters how many children die. I don't think this problem is going to be solved in soon at all.
Yeah.
Time to move to a different country then.
How complicated it is, and how divided it is, and how vitriolic discussion is, and how deluded people are by one side or the other, or this propaganda or that. Children are going to keep dying in school. It is going to be a recurring thing, and it's already normalized. It's already normalized. Oh, that's some guy, 12 dead children again. What are we gonna do?
Nothing.
Nothing. We're not going to do anything.
And on that note, I think it's time to end.
Have discussions like this.
I'm glad we had an upbeat podcast for once. We've been
being
positive. Say it was going to be a heavy question. I did warn you. I pre-warned you.
But I mean, even all the way through the podcast, we've had Nos be, wanting to die. So it's been really positive. We've been, that was just the icing on the cake at the end. Were you wanting to finish your thought, Nos?
I didn't have a thought.
Okay.
But Mr. Carson is also
some Euro Truck Simulator, Nos.
No.
An innocent gorilla was shot dead, and we didn't do anything. America's doomed. Cancel America.
He wasn't innocent. He was in the middle of grabbing a child.
Where was Harambe? What zoo was he at?
Cincinnati.
They don't have castle doctrine there, do they?
Yeah, I have no idea. Ask soccer balling.
All right, guys. It seems like people have enjoyed, at least in the chat, our little discussion at the end there. Feel free to let us know, like I said at the start, everybody who's watching this on YouTube or listening, let us know in the comments what you think about the podcast, what you like, what you don't like, what you'd like to see more of. Would you like to see more of what we've just done? Would you like to see less of it? Do you don't give us any political thoughts, though. I don't care to read any of that. We don't want to get in arguments.
Say get well Nos. Just say get well Nos.
Yeah, say that, yeah. With quaffable and get well Nos.
Even though I'll probably feel better by Monday. I'll still appreciate it.
Phil did a bit of homework on the Joshimas. If you want to know the comments.
Yeah.
True 100%.
I'm going to say
false.
Like 20 people, because no one watched it, no one commented.
How many comments did we have? 73 comments in total.
20.
I think it could be 25, 30-ish.
I say 20, Bob.
Okay.
Give me 15.
Yeah, I think 15 is actually more reasonable.
We had 32 true 100%.
Bam! Price is Right rules. I win.
And 2 false 0% minus and false 19%.
Yeah, I saw those.
Shenanigans.
So not many people watched that episode, but the people who did were very engaged in it.
I hope I get to play Plinko. I love Plinko.
All right, guys. Like I said, let us know down below in the comments what you think. Do you want to say goodbye, guys?
Goodbye. Nothing matters, apparently.
Goodbye. Goodbye. Children are going to continue to die.
You're all beautiful. You're all beautiful people.
Focus.
Such an upbeat podcast. Bye, everybody.
Hey.
We'll be back in 3 weeks. See you later, guys.
Can we do one of those jump in the air and everything freezes?
No, I'm just ending it here.